What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and of course, hop in the Discord, link for that's in the description box down below.
Yes, welcome back in, guys. A little night off yesterday, but we're back at it here. And there's some news to discuss here on our Dallas Cowboys. We'll get into it quick, swift, and in-depth. So, again, appreciate everybody here once again. And, baby, let's remind everybody who runs the show here when it comes to our weekly leaderboard and our winners from represent the boards this week.
Quite the representation going on right now. A big shout-out and mahalo to Mark Hosepian as our current sponsor of the week.
Yes.
And the stream boss, if you look up above, he's got 99 points on the board.
Much love to Mark Hosepian. Of course, when it comes to the gifting board, you got JD from DC who has that crown, the champion over there, gifting last week. I think it was at 10 gifted memberships and took it home. And hey, he's currently in first place with 10 on there once again. So
that's right.
Actually, I think he had 7 last. It's coming up. He had 5 on it last week for the win. He's already got 10 this week for the lead. So much love to him. Hell yeah. Jason Renfro on there, by the way, with the gifted membership as well. And Jason Renfro is the Cash App King. He's been there many times before. Just like the way Mark Hosepian has been the sponsor of the week. These guys run the records on the history here of My Cowboys Family. But much love to Jason Renfro, the Cash App King, representing that board. And, you know, we have others here to shout out that are currently repping the boards. On the overall side of this thing, Mark Hosepian, not only sponsor of the week, not only 99 points in the stream bus, but also currently in first place on the overall board. Not too far behind our others right there. You know, Gloria, McLovin, and others were,
representing there.
They were representing on all over the Cash App board. But the current leader and in second place on the overall board and leader in the Cash App, Marissa Sparkle.
Woo!
Yes, much love to her. After Dark, her, William, we had Jason Renfro also drop a couple after dark, and William Burney in the membership in that navy blue crew. Appreciate you. Another little name I want to shout out, the man staying skeptical. He said he dropped by here and there. He dropped a little thanks love, a $2 holler on one of our previous videos. Appreciate the man staying skeptical. He said, I don't care who goes or who stays. The losing culture of Dallas needs to change ASAP. And can't agree more. We actually discussed that today a little bit.
I agree. So. And again, we were kind of chatting about it a little bit in the chat here. But this franchise is definitely very, very soft. Yeah. So with culture that said, change. Though, we're going to talk about it because,
I just talked about the super chat, right? We're dropping the love here. We had a thanks button drop, right? Thanks drop. We have membership gifting abilities, and you can just jump in the membership. Like I said, William Burney jumped in there back in the Navy Blue crew. So there's 4 other ways you can not only get on that overall board, but also specifically on the Cash App King side of things.
That's right. You have, of course, the Cash App, money sign My Cowboys Family. You have the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and last but not least, that Streamlabs link lets your comment show up on screen just like a super chat.
And just for those to know, if you're in that, any of our membership, Navy Blue, Silver Star, Silver level, of course you have the Star level and the Over Everything level. We always do the shout out to the top 2 levels there, but there's this month we have our Star and Over Everything, those top 2 levels, membership,
can't wait
raffle.
To see who the lucky winner is going to be.
Yep, Sewn and Stitch jersey. About 40 different names to choose from. A lot of old schoolers, Hall of Famers, a lot of new guys too, if you want. So again, appreciate you guys who are in that. And in fact, let's shout out those that are in that level right now, the Star and Over Everything.
Thank you very much to Skeptical Fan, Jason Renfro, Lincoln Kane, Mary Alvarez, Andy Potched, Marissa Sparkle, Dwayne Broussard, and The Lunatic.
Appreciate you all. Hey, good luck. Whoever, this weekend, Sunday, we're going to probably do this raffle. So if you want to get in this thing, you can jump in the Star level or Over Everything level, and you'll be in this thing. Now, who's in the house this thing tonight? Talk about some Cowboy football.
We have Jim Everett the Great, Mike Aldana, what's up? Brandon James, 2024, Spoonie Dog in the house, Chris Davis, much love.
Yeah, Chris Davis, much love. Appreciate him.
Orion Files representing. Mike Aldana, much love to you as well. We have Bobby Garrett. And by the way, several people in the chat saying what Bobby's saying too. Like, can somebody hire Quinn? Please? Anybody? Oh, Thomas Garrett, the Superior. Garrett, Christopher Hollins, what's up? Daniel Berry Sports in the house here.
Yeah.
We have Bruce got the Toxic Juice. Juan Carlos, hello and hi. Jade Duncan, hey, lots of interesting things can happen in the first round. I'm still feeling the O-line more than a receiver, just saying. We have Fuego bringing the heat. Scorpio in the house, what's up? Mahalo. Marco Seppi.
Yeah.
Asmodeus, what's up? House Nelson in the house. Snug X, you know why he's here.
Snug.
Let me see. Freedom First. Hey, he was actually first today. Good for you.
Revelation
Journalist.
Going back on my board, he's not first today.
No, I think he was first on my side.
Not first over here. I think we had Snug and Scorpio actually showed up.
Okay, yeah, I can't see
first.
it.
Yeah. So, anyways, I think that's everybody in the house, right?
Yeah, let me see.
All caught up?
Ori, what's up? Bobby Garrett, Rolando Rodriguez, Revelation, Dirty South, MVP. Yeah, that is everybody here.
All right, so make sure you hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. Let's get rolling. Let's get rolling some Cowboy news, info, and updates. Starting off with actually yesterday, something I guess you can say we can think back 30 years ago to the 1993 NFC Championship, where Jimmy Johnson said, "We will win the ball game," referring to the Niners-Cowboys, championship game there. Again, head coach Jimmy Johnson delivered this victory guarantee. Cowboys beat the Niners 38-21. It was in Dallas, and went for their 7th NFC crown. After throwing 2 touchdowns and getting a 28-7 halftime lead, Aikman got knocked out of the game with a concussion. Backup Bernie Kosar, just 2 second-half touchdowns just to preserve the victory. Cowboys become the first team to start a season 0-2 and then reach the Super Bowl. Of course, we got our back-to-back, of course, in the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills there that year.
Those were the days.
Yeah, speaking of the Bills, that Chiefs-Bills game, the playoff game, just passed this past weekend. More people watched the Chiefs-Bills game on Sunday than all 5 2023 World Series games combined.
Nah.
Yeah. All 5 games combined, the World Series, and with the Texas Rangers, right? $45.22 million was the total, all 5 games. Just in the Chiefs-Bills playoff game, $50.39 million. I mean, you're talking about a full...
NFL still remains undefeated.
By far. That's over $5 million, over 5 million people more watching just the one Chiefs-Bills playoff game than the entire World Series combined. Now, head coaching jobs getting filled in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh finally signed to the team we've been talking about was probably going to get him as the Chargers, and that's who he's leaving Michigan for, accepting the head coaching job with the Los Angeles Chargers. That occurred this evening. In case you didn't hear, the Chargers get their guy, while the national champions, the Michigan Wolverines, have a head coach opening. Harbaugh returned to the NFL to coach. Remember, guys, he was with the Niners, got to the Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick, and lost to his brother in the Ravens in the Super Bowl back some years back, a decade and a half ago or so. But Harbaugh returns to the NFL to coach the same franchise that he retired with as a player in 2000. In case you didn't know, there you go. A little side note there with the Chargers. They had him last before he retired as a player. Now, the AFC West is going to look completely kind of different. Of course, you still got Andy Reid with the Chiefs. But now you have the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. You get the Broncos, of course, second year now, Sean Payton.
Yeah.
And Raiders, Antonio Pierce, who got the full-time interim, from the interim job to the full-time coach there. So,
we'll see if they can do anything to slow down the Chiefs even a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's
considering I'm just saying, they've been dominating. They're currently headed to, their bajillionth AFC championship game here, at least that they've been a part of.
Can't deny that. And you can't deny the fact that, you cannot deny the fact that 5 is greater than 1.
Not always.
That's a fact.
That goes without saying.
So the Eagles today, is the Eagles second here. Brian Johnson, remember they let go of their defensive coordinator and Matt Patricia, the play caller. They're going somewhere else. Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, will not be returning to the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Nick Sirianni is going to replace the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator now for the Eagles. He has that job to do. Colts offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter was mentioned as a possibility for the Eagles offensive coordinator, but he's a possibility, but supposedly not one of the top targets for the Eagles. Again, they are right now, it sounds like, running things back with Nick Sirianni. But And again, whether or not you agree with that, I think if I'm an Eagle fan, I'm not happy with that. But here's the thing. They're making other changes. Like, heads are rolling. Even if it's not Nick Sirianni's crying face. It's still... The Cowboys, on the other hand, didn't do a thing. Not a damn thing for the disgusting ending. They had a disgusting ending to the season.
Yeah.
Some heads are rolling. Cowboys had a disgusting end to the season and no accountability.
You could say that there's honestly maybe a few similarities in the way that both of our seasons ended up meeting a disastrous end. But like you said, the Eagles, for better or for worse, they're willing to take certain measures to try and, correct course here. The Cowboys are
keeping Sirianni, right?
I'm just saying, they're willing to do what it takes in a lot of ways. For us, there's always that line in the sand. There's always that thing that we're not willing to do.
And trust me, we're going to talk about that.
What it is.
We're going to talk about that later tonight. And is it Jerry? Is it Steven? Is it the whole front office? We're going to talk about it. That's going to be our cherry on top for this tonight's stream. We hope you all stick around for that and drop your knowledge on what your thoughts are on these things. But the Eagles, they're at least doing something. I'm not saying it's the right thing. Nick Sirianni is probably the wrong thing in my mind, but for the Eagles, that's fine.
Yeah, we're not even commenting on the quality of their moves, just the fact that they're making moves. Them.
So we know that Ron Rivera from the Washington Commanders, he's interviewed as a defensive coordinator for the Eagles. Today the Eagles interviewed former Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury for their offensive coordinator vacancy today. And again, he was rolling in there with Kyler Murray, a mobile quarterback. See, what he's going to try to do there if he's in town as, these are two kind of head coaches, right? Yeah. It's almost like the Cowboys did with McCarthy. Two head coaches, one on offense, one on defense. And, Sirianni is, if he's gone and one of these guys are taking over, it feels like at least.
You're right. It actually is very similar.
Yeah, so Eagles always copping Cowboys. But Kingsbury's modified air raid system includes a lot of shallow crossing routes and yards after the catch plays. That could be beneficial for someone like Jalen Hurts. So that's I guess some of the thinking there when it comes to that side of the ball. Now the defensive side of the ball, we're talking about Ron Rivera, but the Dolphins today, the Miami Dolphins, and Vic Fangio, if you know that name, as a head coach of the Broncos or as the Dolphins defensive coordinator, has had the Cowboys figure the Cowboys out. But the Dolphins and Vic Fangio today mutually agreed to part ways.
Okay.
And Fangio now is now expected to be, a target for a lot of teams, but a top target for the Philadelphia Eagles to hire as their defensive coordinator. And a deal is expected. So again, it sounds like he's Vic Fangio is going there.
Saying Fangio was a consultant on the defense for the Eagles before he took the job in Miami. So
that's the thing.
He obviously has connections within the building.
Right, and the Eagles wanted him way back. The thing is, a deal is expected. Miami's allowing Fangio to leave to be closer to his family in PA.
Okay.
So again, Fangio and the Eagles have been an interest since they did work together in 2023, but the timing didn't work. This time, timing worked out. So Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator for the Eagles. And why do I mention this? The guy who put the blueprint, Vic Fangio, put the blueprint on stopping the Cowboy offense, whether it was Dak Prescott under Kellen Moore, whether it was Dak Prescott under Mike McCarthy, is now going to the Eagles to head their defense and run their defense and shut us down. Try to shut the Cowboy offense down. It almost feels like it was personal. We know that he's going back to PA to be closer to his family, but yeah, I mean, the Eagles are just basically trying to catch the Cowboys, always trying to catch the Cowboys. Vic Fangio, a guy who, knows the Cowboys' offense and figures it out, seemingly almost every time.
It sounds silly to say, but if you do plan on playing your division well, the whole point of that is that it guarantees you a spot in the playoffs. Like, you win your division, you're in the playoffs. Like, figure everything else out. So if you build a team that's strong enough and matches up well, or, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons that, even us Cowboys are seen to be making a move here and there that seems almost specifically NFC East targeted, right? So, we can't just point the finger at the Eagles like they're the only ones who do it. We all do it amongst each other.
No, I know, but this year, no heads rolling for the Cowboys. The only head that may roll, Dan Quinn.
And that's only if he wanted to. It's not even. His
and that's
head
the point.
Isn't even rolling. He's walking out of the building head intact.
In fact, the Cowboys are going to sign him not sign him. They're keeping him if he doesn't get a head coaching job or take a head coaching job somewhere else. Now the Chargers are out of the question. The Falcons seem to be heading towards Bill Belichick. I know that today they interviewed Mike Vrabel. So I'm just saying, there's not many spots for Dan Quinn to kind of head, except for, of course, his old stomping grounds in Seattle. Which today, again, a kind of interesting thing I'm hearing where. not only is an NFL return likely, NFL return from college coach Oregon Ducks college coach Chip Kelly, who was formerly an Eagle. Remember that? The Eagle head coach there, a real disaster failure when he took over the Eagles. But it sounds like he's going to go to former Oregon coach Chip Kelly and go to the Seattle Seahawks in a package type of deal intertwined with Dan Quinn, is what I'm hearing. So basically Chip Kelly running kind of the offense, I guess, and Dan Quinn kind of running the defense in a kind of like a McCarthy Dan Quinn situation, except Dan Quinn's the head coach now, and the McCarthy role is being played by Chip Kelly. That seems to be what's going to happen in Seattle if it goes right for Dan Quinn and it goes that direction.
Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes.
Just a couple of little notes there, right?
And he's down for that too.
Exactly. I mean, it sounds like it's included with him knowing this is part of the deal in the situation for Dan Quinn as well. So, seems like a group situation. I don't know what anybody thinks about it, but again,
I mean, like I said, I know earlier in the chat before we even went live, lots of people were just saying, like, I'm perfectly okay if Dan Quinn walks. Yeah. Like, that's fine with me.
So, again, that's the big thing there. It just doesn't seem like, we don't know what's going to happen yet with that. I just see him going to Seattle, and that's kind of like going to be the farewell to him. So we have to, again, I said this the other day, what's his name? The defensive coach that I think is going to take over in-house. Defensive backs coach, his buddy there, Joe Witt Jr. Yeah, I think that he's going to be the guy that maybe, hopefully has the inside track to replace Dan Quinn. I don't think the Cowboys want to do too many changes, and that's going to be kind of a major topic of today, changes. So Dan Quinn would stay in Dallas if he don't take the Seattle job, basically, is what it comes down to. So, anyways, playoffs, yes. Couple quick notes here. The Lions and the Niners, they're going to play this Sunday, 6:30 Eastern time, but they signed a couple former Cowboy players. The Detroit Lions, they announced today or yesterday that they signed offensive lineman Matt Farniok and also running back Jake Funk to their practice squad. But Matt Farniok now on the Lions practice squad officially could be called up, and play this weekend against the Niners. So we'll see what happens there with Matt Farniok, which we know, has been a failed interior lineman for us after being drafted into the 7th round some years back. So now the Niners, on the other hand, which guy did they get? Which former Cowboy they get? They signed Mexican player Isaac Alarcon. We know Isaac Alarcon very well. Of course, been with the Cowboys for 3 full years, I think. 4th year was released eventually. Playing on the defensive side of the ball, by the way. But the Niners signed him today, but he cannot play in the game.
Oh.
He's signed to a futures deal.
Okay.
The way we got those running backs like Malik Davis and Scoop, what's his name? Scoop somebody. We got some running backs that like add depth to the bottom of our
potato.
Yes, potato. But no, I mean Isaac Alarcon, guys, he's going to have a futures deal now officially on the practice squad for the Niners for the next season. He cannot play in this game here, but he was picked up by the Niners. He's joining his second NFL team after spending his first 4 years with the Cowboys before being cut this past August. Now he arrives in San Francisco with again, trying to prove doubters wrong, make the most of, an entire country of diehard fans in Mexico cheering him on since 2020. The Mexican fans and Mexico has consistently kept up with Alfredo Gutierrez, who is an offensive lineman for the San Francisco 49ers. So now they add a second Mexican player there for the Niners. Since he was signed to a futures deal, Isaac Alarcon cannot be part of the Niners roster until the new league year kicks off in March, like March 17th or something like that. Until, that's when he'll start battling for a spot on the team for the Niners. So good luck to him, although unfortunately... Scoop Connor. There you go.
Thank you, Mike Aldana. I appreciate that, of course.
Again, these guys are not game. I want to make sure I'm saying these running backs, Malik Davis and Scoop Connor, they're not going to change much. If we're going to roll on those guys to save the season at running back, then we're barking up the wrong tree.
In trouble.
Those are just hopes for the future. These guys were signed 6 days ago. Malik Davis, I like him, but he is going to be a 3rd or 4th stringer on this team. Same with him with Scoop Carter. So again, do not put too much
stock into it.
Yeah, don't buy the bullshit that's being sold out there. Yeah, do not. Now, what about the hype? If the Cowboys might make some kind of free agent move out there and maybe go for some big names, you think that?
Yeah, well, the Cowboys change what they've done in previous
years.
Think
Jerry Jones would do something like that? Well, Buccaneers, again, this was yesterday. I want to make sure I specify this because people have heard about this.
Okay.
And think it's a real deal. Mike Evans is going to be a free agent, is the word, right? The Buccaneers are not going to re-sign him. Multiple teams are prepared to pay him what he's supposedly going to be asking for. Now, from a news article came out that the Bears are the favorites to land them. They're going to offer big money, try to team him up with DJ Moore. But the other names that are expected to make a strong push, Cowboys, Giants, Packers, and Falcons. I know, Cowboys. I've heard this is a false report. So do not buy into it. Now, I will say this. It's a hoax channel, whatever. But my point is this. If it was true, that would deviate from the Cowboy usual path.
Okay.
Wouldn't you agree? I mean, they don't sign big nine.
Mike Evans, even at his advanced age, so to speak, that does seem like a little too much for the Cowboys in free agency. Yeah. Just saying. That
the Cowboys might trade for someone, but they're not going to go pay a free agent money.
It still wouldn't be a Mike Evans type of guy.
Well,
at least.
I know what you're saying. I hear you.
Even in a trade situation where we might be a little more willing to do something, that still seems a little too rich for our.
It'd be blood, the richest we've gone is Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore. It doesn't even
sound like Catboy. It sounds not typical.
So just so you guys know, I want to clarify to those that have heard Mike Evans he ain't coming to Dallas. At least at this point, there's nothing backing that. No, these bullshit reports are just bullshit. Also, another trending free agent guy out there, someone available. Green Bay Packers star cornerback Jair Alexander posted what seemed to be a farewell to the Packers on his Instagram. He said, quote, "Thank you, God. Thank you to Lambeau for 6 years. Thank you for those who showed me love throughout my journey." Remember, guys, he was suspended for one game earlier, in the end of the season, and has a huge cap hit for the next year for the Packers. So there's some rumors that a trade could happen, but there's nothing concrete. Something to keep an eye out. That is more something to kind of watch for there when it comes to the Packers trading Jair Alexander as a possibility. But as far as the ability to make a move, our salary cap and all that stuff with the cap, it's been a problem since we've always been bringing that up. And we're not gonna have enough money to pay our own guys these big contracts like CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and others. How are we going to pay them and then still pay a free agent or two? Well, I just want to make a point here when it comes to taking hits on your cap and taking like dead money hits. Yeah. The Packers took the second highest dead cap hit in history. This comes from the Aaron Rodgers trade. Yeah. They had to pay his entire cap on this year.
Green Bay took a big chunk of that hit.
Yeah. So again, the second biggest dead cap hit in history of the NFL. And they made the divisional round of the playoffs. Just think about that. Again,
no excuses, basically.
When the front office, when Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones claim that a window of that a team's window of contention is closing because the quarterback holds a large cap figure, is false. It's bullshit. It is the way it is, guys. Again, any team that wants to open up cap space and free up cap space can do so. And you can still get, you can still get to the playoffs. You can still do well in the playoffs. The Buccaneers, also one of the top teams with the most dead money, and they still made it past we did. We got in the same. They got knocked out with the Packers. They got to the divisional round with like $60 million in dead cap. Like I said, the second highest in history. The Packers took dead cap and still made the playoffs and beat us and got into the divisional round. So, and really should have beat the goddamn Niners. That's why you can, when the Cowboys say the pie, we can only have so much pie. That's why the pie is a fucking lie. Now, what do you think Jerry Jones is going to use some of that pie to pay someone like Jonathan Hankins, who's vital to the run? As I said the other day, he's had a 28-minute video posting about his, desire to stay a Cowboy and try to win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. Again, Jonathan Hankins not expected to retire. That's number one. And he would like to be back in Dallas, number two. So I hope the Cowboys do bring him in and pay him the minimum money. 1.75 at most, maybe less for someone like Jonathan Hankins. Jonathan Hankins is an upcoming free agent in March. And he said, quote, "The goal of mine is to get to the Super Bowl, and I love it for it to be here in Dallas." So that's a guy I definitely would love Jerry Jones to splurge a little money. Now, we're at $20 million over the cap. So even $1.7 million is still going to be a lot of money right now for the Cowboys to have to keep it.
That's a little too rich for our blood.
We know we got to move money around. And extending Dak or restructuring Dak is going to be very probable here this year. If that happens, we get ourselves under by $40 million.
Although Jerry has been, even for him, surprisingly tight-lipped as far as the direction of Dak's contract, and that was even before we had lost the game.
Yeah. But,
so I'm just saying, so keep that in mind as far as, like, I don't expect that to be the first move we make in this offseason as far as trying to, finagle some of that money around.
Well, when it's not even about Dak or CD.
No, but he's just the first one that I think comes to most people's mind.
Yeah, well, he's the easiest one to blame about the money side of things. But the Cowboys are already planning the restructure of two other guys, and that's Zach Martin and Trayvon Diggs. The Cowboys are going to hit the buttons on those contracts. The Cowboys are planning to restructure both contracts, all-pro guard Zach Martin and cornerback Trayvon Diggs, coming back from that torn ACL, which if the Cowboys do restructure both these deals, extra $20 million right there in the cap, which means we're at zero. So already, guys, we're $20 million over, but we're not. As soon as these things are done officially later this week or next week, we will be back at zero. That's not great. You don't want to go into the season with zero movement. But here's the thing. But it's better than being 20 over, right? Yeah. And the Cowboys can restructure another guy, too, in Terrence Steele. I don't know how I feel about that, but they can restructure that deal and designate Michael Gallup as a post-June 1st cut. We've talked about that's going to happen. That's another $9.5 million. So now you're looking at about maybe $15 million under the cap, right? Now, if the Cowboys do sign CeeDee Lamb to an extension, that cap hit of $18 million, $17.99. But it's a cap hit of $18 million would probably drop to about $8 million this year on the cap, and that money would be pushed forward. So right now, fifth-year option, it's set in stone. There's no movement on that money. It's $18 million, boom. Yeah. But if you extend him and give him a contract, then that money will drop about $10 million or more. So now you're opening up now you're at $25 million under the cap, easy. If you cut LVE, I'm just saying, if you cut LVE and Cooper Rush, that's another $5 million.
Heck, you don't even necessarily have to, quote-unquote, cut LVE. He might be forced to retire anyway. So the point is, LVE is gone. You can recoup some of that money.
And so I'm trying to say, this is why the cap is not a myth, but there's ways of moving stuff around to push dollars a little bit in the future and still have the ability to compete now with the team you got now, which is all we got, right? And that's if it's not this, it's starting over, blowing the whole thing up.
Yeah, and this is what we mean by the pie is a lie. We don't mean that somehow, they're playing with monopoly money and it doesn't exist and it doesn't have an impact. It's just that if you know how to do it, you can manipulate those numbers to get the results that you want and get the people that you want. Yep. So, that's it. Yeah. That's all.
So, and that's why I'm kind of thinking, that... when I look at the way we're 20 over with these two moves we're about to do with Zach Martin and Trayvon Diggs to kind of restructure them and push the money forward is going to open up $20 million, get us at zero, and then when I add in there, the Terrence Steele possibility restructure, the letting go of Michael Gallup, another $10 million, the other five for basically LV and Cooper Rush, CeeDee Lamb's extension, another $8 million, another $10 million. You're talking about like $30 million under the cap. This is without even touching Dak Prescott's contract at this point, right? If you restructure Dak's contract, you open up another $35 million. So now you're at $65 million under the cap if you give Dak, you just hit the restructure, which is going to be done. You hit the restructure, you're going to get about $60 to $65 million open on the cap. And again, if the Cowboys extend him, as in Dak Prescott, that would also give the Cowboys maybe even a little bit more money, up to $70 million open cap space. If the Cowboys want to go after it, they got to do it now. And again, you could sign Micah to a 5-year deal because that means this year's money, $8 million or $12 million, that's not going to change for Micah. That's the same cap hit. We're not going to add to that because we signed him for a 4-year deal or a 3-year deal. So remember, guys, when we sign these guys, the CeeDee Lambs and the extend the CeeDee Lambs and extend the Micahs and restructure or extend Dak Prescott. Yeah, when we do those things, that will again those cuts, those few moves we need to do, that's going to open up a lot of money. So right now, yeah, we're $20 million over the cap, but I wouldn't worry much about that. Now you do know that's the way the Cowboys do. They run the show with $60 million or $70 million open on the cap. What are we going to use that money for? Sign a couple of our own guys, and then what? And then what? Take a risk on low budget guys around the league for like depth positions and then hype them up like they're the superstars that we, free agent pickups. That's what the Cowboys do. With all the extra money, they don't do much with it for the Cowboys. And they use that to play the game of, hey, Dak, we can't pay him that much because we don't have the money to compete now. That's a lie. That's why the pie is a lie. We're going to talk more about the way the Joneses, in a general way, the Joneses, Jerry and Stephen Jones, the way they run the show here at the top in the front office. Do they even, I don't know. I mean, what's their level of care or of making changes? They don't want to, and we'll discuss that. But look, as we flow into 2024 and the offseason for the Cowboys, some key dates and NFL events coming around the corner, right? We know the Pro Bowl and the Super Bowl, but after that, May 2nd, the deadline for fifth-year option on players chosen in the first round of the 2021 draft, that would be Micah Parsons. I think that would be the deadline for his fifth-year option. Even as his fourth year, you have to designate the fifth-year option now, like this season. Mm-hmm. And that time is going to be May 2nd. So keep that in mind when it comes to fifth-year options on players chosen in the first round of the 2021 NFL draft. May 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. May 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. These are rookie mini camps for the rookies coming in. Mid-June is a mandatory OTAs. Late June, training camp begins. Early August, Hall of Fame game. Preseason officially kicks off. And again, those last three things, OTAs, training camp, Hall of Fame game, still to be determined at a later time. But fifth-year option deadline, going back to that for a second, and that's really the next major thing that comes up when it comes to, I would say, future key dates for the 2024 season. The fifth-year option applies when it comes to the linebacker Micah Parsons, all right? He's our sole former first-round pick in 2021, and the Cowboys, would lose nothing in getting him extended now. We could begin getting the contract sealed up there with him. But before we even do anything like we did with CeeDee Lamb, we have to execute that fifth-year option before May 2nd, which won't be a problem in my opinion. So again, after you set that fifth-year option, you can still manage a deal and extend them anyways. It's just a foregone kind of a formality. It has to be done, just to, if you haven't have a deal set up yet there. So again, the other important things in the tags coming up, what's coming up here in the next couple of weeks or months, which players will the Cowboys use or not use for the franchise tag or transition tag, and try to retain how many of these of our own in-house free agents, how many we're going to kind of keep in Dallas out of the guys that about the 16 names that we got to, not, let's say that we don't want to let out to other teams, other teams around the league. And when I say the names, I have to say them all the time. The 16 free agents that we have right now, we will keep a couple of these guys. But you got Tony Pollard, Stephon Gilmore, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, J-Ron Kearse, Jordan Lewis, Dante Fowler, Noah Igbinoghene, Neville Gallimore, Jonathan Hankins, C.J. Goodwin, Chuma Edoga, Trent Sieg, Rico Dowdle, and Sean McEwen. So we'll see how many of those guys the Cowboys end up wanting to keep. Now, I know when we flip it over to the draft, boom. Again, with the constraints that he has by the Joneses.
Yeah.
Who will McClay? We're gonna dip into the draft side of things.
Yeah, who's gonna McClay? Who is McClay going to put up on our board that fits, the metrics of whatever it is that the rest of the front office, Joneses, are looking for?
Well, again, I think we mentioned offensive lineman center last week. I'm going to mention another guy here. Mel Kiper has kind of put on his board. He has the Dallas Cowboys selecting Arizona tackle Jordan Morgan. Last week, Daniel Jeremiah, all right, he dropped his first mock draft of the year, and he had the Cowboys taking Arizona offensive tackle Jordan Morgan at number 24 overall. The Cowboys have a decision to make when it comes to tackle this offseason with Tyron Smith. Is he going to even come back at all? Do the Cowboys want him back? What would that look like if he moves on to another team? He's a free agent now, right? So what's the plan for Tyler Smith then at that left? Will we move out to left tackle? Do we need a guard? So that's a lot of questions to kind of be answered. So you said Tyler. Do you mean Tyler or Tyron? No, Tyron. Okay. But Tyler, I said at the end, I said Tyler has to move out to left tackle instead of left guard.
Okay, just clarifying. Sorry,
but I'm saying we have to figure out what the Cowboys are going to do with Tyler. are we going to move him to left tackle or are we going to keep him at left guard?
Gotcha.
If Tyron Smith is allowed to walk.
Yeah.
So a lot of questions to still answer is the point I'm trying to make. Which, again, if you mock draft a offensive left tackle, you're saying we're keeping Tyler Smith at left guard.
Yeah.
So Mel Kiper also decided to say, let me run through my opinion on things. And he also has, not only did Jeremiah take Jordan Morgan, but so did Mel Kiper. In the mock draft at 24, it's the Cowboys taking Arizona tackle Jordan Morgan. Here's what he said, basically, again, quote, the NFL's other franchise in Texas has the opposite rookie class as the Texans. Cowboys get very little from their first-year player. Of course, we know who that is when it comes to Mozzie. But, they're saying we did a bad draft outside of Brandon Aubrey, which is undrafted. And basically what happened is what they're saying is because of Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, who are both, by the way, 33 years old, Tyron Smith out of a contract. This is the reason why he's saying, and others are saying, Cowboys are looking at Jordan Morgan as a very possible offensive tackle in the first round. So, again, Morgan is one of the better pass protectors in this draft class. Everyone loves the way he moves his feet, handles twists and stunts on the defensive line. He has started 35 games at left tackle in college, which would make him a perfect fit to replace Tyron Smith for the Cowboys. I think it'd be a great plan B. If you keep Tyron Smith, I don't know if you're going to keep Tyron Smith and get a rookie in the first round. You're not going to. I don't think the Cowboys are going to want to do that. I think if they're going to get a rookie, they're going to let Tyron Smith go. I think this is the way I think it's going to be. If we get a first round offensive lineman, who we always seem to hit out the park, right? So the Athletics, Dane Brulger had Morgan going to the Ravens at spot 32 there in a recent mock draft. And again, he has some guard flexibility, Morgan. So you got to remember that as well. So the Cowboys could utilize him at guard with Tyler Smith, moving Tyler Smith at left tackle. That's also possible with Morgan. So
True.
He can go. They can basically flip flop. If you draft someone like this, you can flip flop the guard tackle spots if you wanted to, guys. But Brulger said that the Cowboys would like to get another offensive lineman. His name is Tyler. It's funny, Tyler Guyton.
My goodness.
Yeah, another Tyler. So, again, the position is, again, a very popular one for a lot of these analysts to right now say the Cowboys are going to go offensive line in the first round. Basically, the top three guys said offensive lineman. Two of them said the same guy for the Cowboys and Morgan. So, again,
so you could
I'm
say
curious
we
to know how it's
need
going to go.
offensive linemen in general.
Yeah, offensive linemen are highly sought after, not just in the NFL, but especially by the Cowboys. Any thoughts in there by the family?
Not on the O-line specifically, but Mike Aldana said Tony Pollard can find another team. He's not worth what we even paid him on the tag.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about $6.6 million is what he's going to be costing to most teams. With the Cowboys, would you guys want him for 6.6? I said no.
So, and True Love in the house, what's up? Glad you're able to make it to the show here live and in action. And if you guys are here watching us live and in action, or if you're watching us after the fact, all good, but take a second to hit like. One of the best, easiest, simplest ways you can show the love here at My Cowboys Family, of course. Hop in the Discord, link for that's in the description box. And thank you again, sponsor of the week, Mark Hovsepian, the stream boss, Mark Hovsepian.
Hell yeah. 99. He's still in the same spot there, 99 points.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, as a stream
Sorry,
boss.
I was going to say the next thing.
Yeah, hit it up.
The gifted membership king there, JD from DC.
As you can see, he's the leader as well up there.
And of
with
course,
10 on it.
rocking it on the Cash App.
Boom.
Jason Renfro.
Yes, much love to Jason
the Cash
Renfro.
App king.
The king of the Cash App. The leader in the Cash App is Marissa Sparkle. And by the way, you failed to mention that Mr. Mark Hovsepian is also the overall leader currently on the board, trying to go for back-to-back domination.
That's right.
As a sponsor of the week. Much love. I think today we just had a Mr. Skeptical fan with the thanks. Pre-stream thanks button there. So thanks, Mr. Skeptical. Staying
Thank
skeptical.
You.
So now, I mean, again.
Motor City Maniac, what's up?
Hey.
Clark motherfucking Ken said, Tony Pollard can kick rocks.
He's done. I think
Asmodeus, what's
up? Too much money for someone that he gets. We're not even using him really as a running back. We're barely using Tony Pollard in the running game already in McCarthy's offense. Spending that much money would be criminal. It defeats the purpose, I think. $6.5 million for Tony Pollard. Nah, I agree. You get a guy in a draft. You got Rico Dowdle. We'll go from there.
So, anyway, kind of hand things back off to you, baby.
Well, maybe actually I'm going to hand them back to you because we had... These are our last two topics, guys. This is our quickie tonight. We got Troy Aikman who spoke about the Cowboys. Yeah, again, you saw me post a little short here, a short there, short everywhere. But Mr. Troy Aikman, you see him on our front cover, he had some things to say. Letting some stuff off his chest here about the thoughts of this Cowboy team. A couple of things like, does he still believe in Dak? Well, how about when it comes to Troy Aikman? Does he, how does he feel about the way this season went? Because Troy Aikman was shocked. He thought he was going to be at this game this week in San Francisco. It would be the Cowboys at the Niners. He had not taken vacation time just because he thought that he would be at this game. So,
poor guy.
Yeah, sorry, Troy. The Cowboys let us all down again. So, baby, what did Troy Aikman say here about the shocked ending to the season by losing to the Packers?
He said, I really liked this team all year long. I thought they were really talented. It's just the same old story. And I don't mean that as a criticism. It's just, when I'm asked about the Cowboys as to why they've struggled, they've put together some really great regular seasons. They just have not, for whatever the reason, played their best football when the games matter most. That's what you have to do. That's the key to winning in the postseason and then getting to a Super Bowl. What the answer is to that, I'm not sure.
We'll get to we'll dive a little deeper on what may be the answer to that, but Aikman also kind of spoke about other things.
He had his own kind of thoughts on that, specifically saying, I do know that we all draw on our past experiences. And when we don't have great experiences, those then become hard to overcome. And I think that's the challenge for Dak. Because the question for him and really for the team isn't so much, what happens in the regular season now? It's, how are they going to play? And how is he going to play once you get in the postseason? And that makes for a long year with the way that it works.
Yeah,
he did make it absolutely unequivocally clear. I still believe in Dak. Until you do it, there's always those criticisms. And I know Peyton Manning went through that his first 3 years. He didn't win a playoff game. And then you look back on it now, and you can't imagine anybody questioned whether or not he could win a playoff game. So the pressure gets higher as they go into this offseason and next season. Everyone talks about the proverbial window and how long it's going to stay open. And it's hard in this league to keep it open. We just assume that because these key guys will be back, that they'll continue to play at a high level, win 12 games, and put themselves at that position. It doesn't always work out that way.
That's what I love about Troy Aikman. He's just straight up honest. Aikman is honest. He just tells you the way he feels. And listen, hey, if he still believes in Dak, and I do believe in Dak as well. I believe it's not just Dak Prescott that's the issue on this team. So, I mean, I think that it's all about overcoming the failures every year in the playoffs. And it's not just Dak, it's the entire team. Let's just be honest about it. I see the man, Jason Renfro, dropping a $1.52 holler.
Woo.
And a GO COWBOYS.
Jason.
Much love to Jason Renfro, who takes Marco Sepien down to 97 points in the stream boss.
That's right, and kick things off officially.
Yeah, actually.
Tonight, dropping the love and showing the love here.
Yes, the first drop of the night.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you.
Yes.
And, again,
he actually jumps on the board a little bit over a couple spots.
Oh, there you go. So, real quick.
Yeah, what do you think,
kind of just saying. Yeah. So, again, Troy is not wrong. Again, you can't really call what he's saying, criticisms even necessarily. It's just a critique, right? He's just being real, talking about what's actually going on with this team, and realistically speaking, some of the possible reasons why we haven't been able to kind of overcome that hump, right? It is maybe hard, psychologically speaking, for this team to get past some of the trials and tribulations they've been through. Now, that does come down to, mental toughness or just general toughness, whatever you want to call it. But I'm just saying, it feels like the same way that we're just not a physical team. It feels like we're, not a mentally tough team to be able to handle that type of adversity.
A lot of people say, he believes in Dak, believes this offense can still do it. What about the guy behind, the guy calling the plays, Mike McCarthy? What is, when it comes to Mike McCarthy, what happens when it comes to Mike McCarthy? Aikman's thoughts, as far as him staying here for the 5th year. According to McCarthy, to Troy Aikman, not too surprised that McCarthy is staying in here. And he has spoken highly of McCarthy throughout his time here in Dallas. So what did Troy Aikman say about McCarthy going forward?
He said they had a really good year. The people who are followers of Dallas, they would point to what happened against San Francisco or whatever happened against Buffalo. Every team had those games where they really struggled. San Francisco had those games. But the way that they were playing at the end of the year, they positioned themselves to be the number 2 seed. I thought it was good. If you make a change, as in head coaching, then you're basically making a change for the same reason you made changes back a few years ago when you brought Mike in, and you're bringing then somebody else who you believe is going to get you over the top. Just like they felt Mike is the guy to do that. But you don't know the answer to that until, once again, you get back to January. So I think the continuity of it all, the year that Dak was able to have, it just seems to make the most sense for those guys to come back. Without a new contract, there's obviously then some urgency on their part as well.
What do you think about that?
I think and again, this is just my interpretation of some of the things that Troy Aikman just said. But it almost seems like he's implying that had Mike McCarthy not been on the final year of his contract, he would have found himself on the last year of his contract type of thing. Like the Cowboys are fine with keeping him another year because his contract was already basically over anyway, and now he can go do what CeeDee Lamb just did, which is, oh crap, it's contract year, let me go out there and get paid. So it's
motivating McCarthy to win?
That is basically what he's trying to say.
McCarthy has nothing left.
He said it. Without a new contract, there's some urgency on their part as well.
That's kind of the Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones has always been doing it that way, and saying always wants the Cowboys. He always wants the he holds the contracts over coaches' heads. Yes. He did that with Garrett a couple times. Now he's doing it with McCarthy.
In this business, everything is a negotiation tool. So, on one hand, I don't really blame Jerry that much.
What is the issues with this team? Is it when it comes, this was Aikman being asked, what are the issues? Can you figure out, you were asking earlier, what could it be? We do think foundationally it's Jerry Jones's mindset, but is it a sense of entitlement? What did Troy Aikman think about that question, about entitlement in Dallas that makes us keep falling short?
I don't know about a sense of entitlement. I think that when you play for the Cowboys, every national show leads off with the Cowboys. And there's a lot of perks to playing for the Dallas Cowboys. There's a lot of benefits to playing for the Dallas Cowboys. So I think the challenge for the organization and for the head coach is to be able to still keep the players with their edge. And I think that's the challenge of this job. In a lot of ways, there's so many other things that are happening within the organization, it's easy to get caught up in it. There's tours going around the building. There's a lot of distractions, if you will. And I think it creates another layer that a head coach and a staff and players have to try to compartmentalize so they can go and be the best football players they can be.
Hey, listen, we were at...
Now, damn, I feel like we just added to the problem.
I know, we were at...
Thanks, Troy.
We were at the Star, and we saw a couple of the players, some of the coaches and analytics crew there. So, I understand what you're saying. It could be very distracting when you have people just constantly walking around tours and looking at this place. This building that Jerry built, and it's also a place of work where these guys are trying to focus on football. So I understand the points there being made. So I remember our last tour we never got to go inside that room where they all are kind of sitting in that big room and kind of take the coaches' lectures and stuff like this. Because the first time we were there, we were in that room. This time we didn't see it with the kids, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought we did.
I don't think so.
No, we saw. I think the quick post game press conferences and stuff. Remember we saw that room? Yeah, then we saw where the coach speaks, his little podium and stuff like that, but we didn't see...
No, but we didn't get to see the actual coaching room, where the big room with the auditorium where they all kind of sit. I remember we did take pictures when we went there a couple of years back before that. But anyways, point is that it's very congested there at the Star, and it could be distracting. Now, what about the fact that is this on Jerry Jones? This is where we're going to end it in a way, because after this comment's going to lead us to our final thoughts, and I want to know what you guys think, so please,
of course,
stick around. You're going to hopefully want to hear what we're going to say. You probably already heard some of it. We want to know your 2 cents. I want to know your 2 cents. But what about when Troy Aikman was asked about how much of the problem or the person responsible for creating these distractions at the Star with the Cowboys practice, how much is this on Jerry Jones? What did Troy Aikman say?
He said, he's the boss. So whatever is done, it's because he's okay with it. It just is what it is. It's been that way. It's always been that way. And whether or not that ultimately keeps this team from doing what they hope to do, I don't know. Does it just rear its head in January? Why wasn't it a problem during the regular season? So it's a hard thing to kind of wrap your head around when you see the number of wins that they've had, and yet so much disappointment in the postseason.
And that's the point. That's the only way you can kind of understand this. Jerry Jones has other issues he creates on this team for the Cowboys. But the tours have been going on the whole season. We were there during the season.
Yeah.
We kicked ass. The tours have nothing to do with the players playing poorly. So you can't blame Jerry Jones on that side of things, is what I think Troy Aikman is saying. I agree. I agree with that. So, kind of wrapping up that's the kind of the Troy Aikman discussion there.
Yeah.
Falling in there on the last portion of things, which is on Jerry Jones. And that's where we're going to take this to the final segment here, guys. We're going to be done here under an hour, but this is actually kind of important, and I did want to know what you guys think. It's kind of something we've been thinking about for a while here on MCF for years. When will, who's first of all, who's to blame is really the bigger question. Like, who's to blame? And we keep saying Jerry Jones, the foundation. And when we say Jerry Jones, remember...
Troy just said it, like, he's the owner. So
right.
Everyone else is just along for the ride. But yes, Jerry's the one who still is running the show. Signing
the checks.
Yeah.
But the point is, we always also say, who's the clown show? It's not just Jerry Jones. It's Stephen Jones, too. Stephen Jones has been in the background since maybe we were in 2017 or 2018, we were in the draft there in Dallas. Stephen Jones, even back then, felt... he was highly involved when it comes with the Des Bryant let go, when it comes with the Jason Witten retirement, and let's say the Amari Cooper trade. This is Stephen Jones taking over. He's taken over the old man, 81 years old, taking over his job here in a way. And so and this is kind of what we were, we were discussing this. Who's better, who's worse? I mean, how much has Stephen taken over? We see some of Stephen's, first steps of taking over in 2017, 18, 19. We're seeing more every year of his takeover. And, Jerry Jones, last time he had free reign on things, we had a lot of mistakes in the early 2000s. Jerry Jones was making bad trades, bad draft picks, a lot of bad moves for Jerry Jones when he was running the show as a GM in 2000, 2006, in that range. He was fucking up big time. As we got to 2010, you started seeing Stephen Jones more involved, pinning Jerry to the wall a couple times. We heard about stories about, he had to but he had to argue with Jerry Jones to not pick Johnny Manziel or trade up for Johnny Manziel or get Paxton Lynch. And again, when some of these guys, we ended up going with Stephen Jones saying, hey, let's go Travis Frederick over Johnny Manziel, whatever the fucking pick was that Jerry wanted badly. So this is where you see you can see some ways that Stephen Jones can help, but I think the culture of the mindset right now in Dallas, and we've been talking about this for a couple of years, with Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, it's become a pie. The pie is a lie situation. The pie, we can only pay so many people. We only need, that's what makes that. We can't pay everyone because of the money and the way we slice it up. Bullshit. So now that we see where things are going a lot with the salary, we get all this, we can roll over some money and manage the money, even with the cap and the bullshit from the cap. We can still manage money and still make a move. I just showed you guys that we can open up almost $70 million easily, and we would be $50 million. I'm sorry, we'd be $50 million under the cap. So if we want to make a move this year with a couple good players like those two linebackers from the Buccaneers, you could grab one of them, right? White or David. One of those guys would be great. Interior linebacker to replace LVE. They'd be elite for that job. And we can pay them $8 million, whatever. I don't know how much they'd be paid, but it'd be worth it. You don't have to worry about it. You got $50 million to spend. You're gonna spend what? 10 on your own guys, on 4 or 5 guys of your own. 10 million. That's about the Cowboys will spend about. And then what about the other 40? Make moves. Win now. We maybe would have done better if we had made a bigger move, bigger splashes this past year. Although who knows with this mindset. So that's kind of been my thought with Jerry and Steven and the way they run the front office. But today, a guy that I've had, you guys know Brian Broaddus. All right, I've had a lot of discussions with him in the past, not as recently, but I'd say when we first started My Cowboys Family, had a lot of discussions with Brian Broaddus on Twitter, and I always thought he took up for Jerry Jones and always kind of shielded him and backed him up. And even though I know that he doesn't, he made many good points. He does say a lot of interesting things, and again, a lot of this is the criticism. You'll hear him say this about Jerry Jones making crazy moves if he was running the show. So he's giving the show a little bit here more towards someone like Stephen Jones to run the show. And, now you're seeing those effects on this team. So anyways, let's hear what was said about Jerry Jones. And really, it wasn't even about Jerry Jones. It was about the Cowboys front office, specifically his son, Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones is the guy who's taking over, according to Brian Broaddus. Stephen Jones is the guy who is, maybe mismanaging this thing. And we got 50 people in the house. I hope you guys all dial in on this. Listen up. I'm not going to play the video, but I'm going to play the audio because we're discussing it and reviewing it. So just listen to this, guys. I respect what Brian Broaddus, again, not always agree with him, but I respect what he's saying here and his assessment of the Cowboys. This is kind of like it's making its rounds. You see, again, I want you guys to hear the full 4 minutes in context here.
You might have heard a quote or two from it. Yeah,
I want to hear the whole context of this and know what you guys think when it comes to Stephen Jones. Well, when it comes to Brian Broaddus' thoughts on the reason this Cowboy team has lost its winning culture, its winning ways. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up. Let's hear what Brian Broaddus has to say about this front office.
Yeah,
and specifically where the blame should be placed and why it should be placed on Stephen Jones. Brian Broaddus, take it away.
It's like an Adam Sandler movie.
But right now, I think the blame's going the wrong direction here myself.
So it needs to be Stephen. Stephen needs to be in the blame.
I think when you start to talk about when they don't want to change. They don't want Bill Belichick walking in here or Jim Harbaugh walking in here and saying, we need to do this differently personnel-wise. I don't like the way we're doing this personnel-wise. I don't like this. They don't want that. They don't want that. It's easy for them now. Mike's not going to get in their way about personnel. Mike's not going to get in their way and say, oh, well, I want him to go in there and say, hey, we need to do something different here. He's not. He's not going to do it different. It's totally comfortable for the way that these guys operate now.
It is.
They don't have anybody questioning their personnel moves. They get to draft. They get to sign players, their own players. They don't do things that the guy in Philadelphia does or people who are fighting for their jobs. That's what this football team is.
Yeah.
They've handed it off from a guy who used to do crazy-ass things. And I was part of the crazy-ass things he did.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah, you were.
And you know what?
You
the crazy-ass...
I
almost said an S-word there. The crazy-ass stuff will get you fired. But he handed it off. And that's where we are now. That's where we are with this football team. They don't want to change because they could operate in the way that they're comfortable operating. That's the problem. And it ain't Jerry. Jerry's just stepping back. He's 81 years old, but he still has all the titles and stuff. But he ain't in there rolling up his sleeves doing the nuts and bolts stuff. It's Stephen Jones doing this stuff.
Well, he's using his dad eyes instead of his businessman eyes. Okay, so that is Jerry's fault for not being objective about the crap job your son has done.
He's trying to handle
not teaching son how to be a badass.
Well, you said it earlier. Stephen Jones pinned his dad up against the wall one time.
He did.
I trust me.
I think he did it again, and this time he finished.
And he gets some of that fire back.
He left with dad's cojones the last time he did it.
Well, they've got a general manager in place, and they've got a personnel director. Sorry, I'm not going to put you guys in this. I respect respect Will McClay.
Yeah.
I really do.
I do too.
I do too. And I think that there's some things that maybe Will would want to do differently, but he understands what they're up against. Yeah. But he does not want change. None of those guys want change because change means they have to do things completely differently from what they've done before, which they've had success doing. Drafting. They draft really, really well. They occasionally sign a free agent that is, is kind of under the radar kind of guy that works out. They don't play the game that we used to play in the early 2000s, effing up this team. Signing guys, not working out, drafting poorly. That's Jerry still is capable of doing that if you put him in charge.
That's good sports passion right there.
I was going to say, I feel like we need to go standing ovation, round of applause there for Russ. The passion, the ability to dodge the S-bomb there. That is the problem, right? But make the point numb. You drove it home, bro.
I'm just saying, if you folks need to focus on Stephen Jones now.
Okay.
They need to focus on that. That's where you need to focus your anger.
Here he is, Brian Broaddus, the former Cowboys scout, NFL executive, a lifelong Cowboys fan, and the #1 influencer on Cowboys social media.
And so there you have it. I mean, the full 4-minute context there, the little Brian Broaddus rant on Stephen Jones taking over. He said basically, if you want the crazy wheeling and dealing and mistakes of the early 2000s, put Jerry Jones back in charge. But we're not seeing that. Why aren't we seeing that anymore? Because Stephen Jones has taken over, took over the draft comment there about Frederick and who knows how many times he pinned him.
For better or for worse.
What do you think?
And again, this is the differences between them because even though they kind of arrive at the same destination, they have two very different ways of doing it. Stephen is much more conservative, much more careful, much more steady in a lot of ways, but at the same time, he is also clearly, as we can see here, still unwilling to step out of that box that it seems like they've created for themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed. And the fact that I think what I picked up from this is the fact that the Cowboys are not going to change. And again, you can blame Jerry Jones for the crazy wheeling and dealing in the early 2000s, and again, definitely blame him for the Jimmy Johnson breakup. It's mainly on Jerry Jones, in my opinion. But so after that decade of breaking up Jimmy and Jerry by Jerry Jones, I think you have a lot of wheeling and dealing mistakes where it was Galloway and other guys like the receiver Roy Williams. What bad trades we did there and some bad free agent pickups. We didn't have Will McClay, so our drafts were not looking great at times. Again, we did get DeMarcus Ware, which was a no-brainer. But anyways, that's kind of as we got into the end of the 2000s of that decade, you saw things kind of switch to more of a again hiring a Will McClay, and then who was really running a lot more of the drafting scouting side of things. But he again like Brian Broaddus said, his hands are tied. Jerry Jones will limit whatever he can do as somebody who can trade, somebody who can make moves in free agency. That's limited to what Jerry and Steven want to give him to the allotted money to go out and spend on a player. If your limit is $1 million and everyone's giving him $4 million, you ain't going to get him signed no matter how much Will McClay thinks he would be perfect for this team.
Yeah.
Or Dan Quinn or Mike McCarthy. It doesn't matter. Their hands are tied, and that is by Stephen Jones right now. Jerry Jones overall, of course, but even like you said, like he made a good point. If Jerry Jones was fully in charge, he would be wheeling and dealing, making crazy fucking moves and stuff that some would say, okay, cool. Some would be like, what the hell are we doing, Jerry? Like we have done in the past. So they're scared of that. Stephen Jones is, like you said, more stable, a little more just kind of consistent in that way. But if you have to blame someone about us not going all in, that's why I was talking it up earlier about making all this room. We're going to be talking a lot about this in this offseason, but already it's going to start with Zach Martin and Trayvon Diggs' deals. They're going to open up, $10 million, $20 million on both those guys combined. $20 million, we're going to get back to zero instead of being 20 over the million over the cap. And like I said, we can bring this thing down another $50, $60 million on top of that. And the Cowboys are not going to use that money except to sign maybe some of our own. LVE or something. Instead of, when we could have had Bobby Wagner for $2 million more. That's the difference between winning and losing in this league. And the Joneses are part of the problem. Jerry has given the baton over. He's going to the next relay here. And it's Stephen Jones not wanting to change. They don't want change. Like, again, if you hear what Broaddus said, they don't want a Bill Belichick saying this is what needs to change. They don't want a Jim Harbaugh saying this is what needs to change. This is what's missing with this team or with this front office or with this culture. They don't want that. They want to say we're doing good. We can do good enough and get 12 wins and get bounced in the playoffs. That means our way is working. That means the old Jerry Jones way, whether it was wheeling and dealing, right? Didn't work too well, so they go into a more of a Stephen Jones, Will McClay guided draft, but which has been saving us.
Yeah.
For the not this year, but overall saving us. While the steadiness and not craziness of Jerry Jones is now handled by Stephen Jones, and it's almost to a point where it's obviously been detrimental to the team when it comes to you're so steady and cautious that you don't even take a chance to go and grab somebody out there that's not been drafted or cultivated or found by your front office.
Again, similar
to get
to
credit
other things,
for it.
You've created a culture of
no accountability.
No, not even no accountability in this case. More like no curiosity in a way, like however you want to put it. But you said it.
No chances.
Even
no
if there
balls.
was someone out there, it's like we don't even bother to go searching. So, of course, we're never going to find them because if we look at our things and look what we have and we're like, oh, we're good or, oh, we're not going to do that. Like, saying.
Listen,
like,
I
that's
can't,
unfortunate.
Will McClay does a great job in finding talent, especially on the undrafted side of him and Chris Hall. So, but here's the thing, though. Do you think that just like with the players, someone like Jerry Jones, who believes so much in all his players and hypes them all up, whatever Will McClay says, he really will buy into. Whether it's all that Will McClay can do because that's all Jerry Jones will allow him to do or not.
At the age that Jerry's at, he honestly probably just only really hears the good things and the really bad things in the sense of, anyone he comes across that has a really bad thing, obviously the Cowboys might just move past him regardless of how good the good is, or just draft him lower, undrafted. You guys know how that goes. But, yeah.
Yeah, listen, and then the hype machine comes up. But again, if you listen, look at these two guys here. Mike McCarthy, he's now a beaten man, right? In his 5th year, he should be sucking the toes of Jerry Jones for keeping him on. I'm just making a point. Is that
you made it?
The point is that right now he's groveling in his final year of his contract. He ain't gonna tell Jerry Jones what I need to do. I need this. I need that. Jerry Jones say, "Fuck you." You do what we, or not even Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, whichever Jones. They will tell him what to do, and he will do it. What would Bill Belichick do if he was in town and he was our head coach? You think he's gonna just accept whatever Jerry? He's gonna coach his way.
No, but that joking comment about Dan Quinn and the whole kneecaps and all that other thing from a few years ago, or whatever. Dan Campbell. From a few years ago or something, and we touched on it the other day. Bill Belichick is going to leave a headless snake on their porch.
And what I'm trying to say about Bill Belichick...
that's the type of energy he's bringing.
Belichick... It's not about the energy only, though, but it's more about the way that the front office has control or not on things. Right now, the front office, has Mike McCarthy by the nuts, and they do whatever they want at this point. They had him by the nuts a little bit, but he at least had some control this past year. Now, he's on his last year's contract. They got him by the balls. So,
hey, think about our defense this past year, right? It's, there's been a lot of kind of back and forth, basically, as we've been rightfully pointing the blame a few different places, right? But that basically we're sitting here saying, Dan Quinn didn't want more linebackers or whatever, or he was fine with the linebackers we had. Like, that's making a big assumption that it wasn't the front office that basically turned to him and said, figure it out with whatever you have. We're not making any more moves. We're not doing anything else.
Or we'll give you Rashaan Evans and good luck, and
exactly.
That kind of stuff.
Here you go.
Yeah, just to appease the fans. Listen, here's the thing. Again, I'm not saying it's not Dak Prescott has some stuff to blame here. Dan Quinn has things to blame. It's not just like they're not blameless because
that's how we're talking about all these different
context.
Factors.
Yeah, but my point is that Bill Belichick is the bigger factor. I know it's water under the bridge, right?
Yeah.
But Bill Belichick would not stand for the shit that McCarthy has to stand for now. The shit that McCarthy has to take. Something that a new coach like Bill Belichick or Jim Harbaugh or Mike Vrabel won't have to take from Jerry Jones initially. Definitely a Belichick, definitely a Harbaugh. These guys would not take this shit from Jerry Jones, and that's probably why they wouldn't be hired. But if they were hired, it's a different situation than Jerry Jones peeking in a players only meeting when you have Belichick there, or when you had Parcells there, that's what he did, right? Him and Steven walk in on player-only meetings where Parcells didn't want the owner there, the GM there.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing. It's another thing once in a while doing that. It's another thing to own your coach. McCarthy's now owned. What? McCarthy's now owned by the front office. And, how good are we going to be this year with their claws in them? How are we going to be able to coach? How is McCarthy going to do his best? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that's what he needs to motivate him. Maybe it won't make a fucking difference.
All I can say is I hope his thoughts align with the front offices. If he's looking for
maybe he has no choice.
Staying gainfully employed, I guess.
No, he has to win. It's it. He's out. My point is that the only thing holding him back, he has to win. That's the only thing, and that's the hope that they're going to push with. With maybe having Mike McCarthy having that motivation of. He's playing for his Cowboy career right now. And I'm going to say again.
So last year, or this past season, it wasn't NFC Championship or bust. I guess this year you could say it's a little more NFC Championship
it's more real. It's more real because now he's out of contract after this year. So
that's what I said.
Belichick would not stand for keeping things the same like McCarthy's going to stay. McCarthy's going to say keep it the same because it's the way Jerry Jones wants it, Stephen Jones wants it, and it works for them. So keep it the same is easy this year when it comes to Steve. Bill Belichick would not sit back and say, keep it the same.
I agree, but even we just talked about this a few minutes ago. Even Troy Aikman pointed out the somewhat valid reasoning for wanting to keep things consistent, even with that type of situation going on. Consistent
or not, that's now falling into the hands of Stephen Jones. Brian Broder said some facts there that it's hard to unhear now. Stephen Jones has fully taken over this team in the sense of the way they manage the money, the contracts, the capology, all that shit is now handled by Stephen Jones fully. We know he's already involved. Trust me, it wasn't like it was a secret. But now we know he is kind of taken over the Jerry Jones role as well. And now Jerry Jones is signing the checks, but it's on high alert. Or high ground from Stephen Jones, who's bringing him the information and what we should do or not do. Stephen Jones is saying, don't pay this guy, don't pay that guy, save the money, say it's the cap, blame Dak on the contract. Saying like blame CeeDee Lamb on the contract, blame this guy, blame that. You're going to give CeeDee Lamb $30 million a year, but this year's cap hit will go from $18 million to $8 million. And I know that we have to pay that money later on. I know it is dead voidable cap years. That's the whole point. But the point is, it's not like this year's over because we signed CeeDee Lamb for $30 million a year. It's the opposite. It actually gives us a chance to make a run. And the Cowboy front office, too much of a bunch of pussies to make a real move on some real players that are right in front of our faces. Levante David and White, one of those two linebackers would increase our linebacker situation by tenfold. You get rid of LVE, you get David in there. You got Marquise Bell as our third option with DeMarvin and Overshown as our it's third and fourth options where you have Damone Clark can do a lot better as a second linebacker interior inside. So again, we don't know what's going to happen in our defensive play calling and our defensive coordinator yet because Dan Quinn's still hanging in the balance about going to a head coaching job. But again, up your game here across the board and use that money wisely. Don't sit there and say we can't spend any more money because of the cap. Because we extended all these other guys, gave them all this money. And, we can't pay anymore. When we know the cap is right there saying we got $50 million open by the time all the restructures are done and the extensions are done. So, again, to me, it's a pretty simple situation there. I think Brian Burtis hit on all those things. And, I would love to know what you think, baby, what the chat thinks on this. And, I'm going to, kind of defer to you, I guess, in the chat. Well, actually, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but any other thoughts on this entire situation?
I mean, I will say one of the things that was kind of, brought up and just generally touched on here, we have been blaming Jerry specifically, right? Because he is still the guy at the top. And I still don't retract any of those statements. It's just adding in there that, wow, not to say that we've been holding Stephen Jones completely blameless because that's certainly not the fact. It's just maybe he, as in Steven, is a little bit more responsible for these current problems here. And Jerry is obviously okay with it. Jerry's not against it. But maybe this is more Steven's team, right? And Steven's ideas. You know, we kind of have known that ever since we moved on from Des Bryant, like that marked a significant change in our front office because Jerry, as much as he knew it probably was the right thing to do, like he openly admitted and said that he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, he was the one holding back. The Des Bryant
and
release.
Not just held back for a little bit. Like he held back for like weeks or months, if I'm recalling correctly. Like it was a good chunk of time where we're all sitting there like, what's going on?
Des Bryant is not a fan of Jason Garrett or Stephen Jones. He's not a fan of either guy. You know, I have a lot of respect for Brodus and what he said in this thing here. And if his assessment is correct, the Cowboys don't seem to be a team that is serious about their goal of winning a Super Bowl. If this is the way you're thinking, if you are afraid to change what's currently not working, then you don't want to win a Super Bowl. And that's what scares me with Stephen Jones. Change is uncomfortable, but if you keep doing what you've been doing and it's not working,
you're gonna keep getting the same results you've always gotten. Exactly. And if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you have to be willing to, push yourself outside of whatever little bubble you're in.
You know, the Eagles failed this year, but last year they were in the Super Bowl and they weren't far from winning it.
Yeah,
and that's what Brodus was saying. The guy in Philadelphia,
they've also been involved in the mix the last few years in a way that, let's be real, we have not been.
100%.
Even if they didn't make it all the way.
I've given them credit, and people still, some Cowboy content creators want to give credit to Jerry Jones over guys like Howie Roseman, which is no contest to me that Roseman is much better. They lose sometimes, but they make it work. They roll with the salary cap. They don't let that cap shit hit them. Yeah. They keep getting their players. They roll them in there. Sometimes they win, sometimes they lose, but they get runs at the Super Bowl. We sit there and hope we don't get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. That's how pitiful it gets.
Very different energy.
So again, that's why Brodus mentioned the guy in Philadelphia. Don't do this because he's right. The guy in Philadelphia goes out and tries to win a fucking Super Bowl every year, year after year. Something we just are content with competing and having 12 wins, and we're cool with that. So at least it's the front office mindset. So the change, if you keep doing the same thing, it's not working. A change has to happen. The Cowboys refuse to change. The Cowboy front office's way of thinking, their approach, is not working. And right now, it is, from a fan's perspective, baby, it is very frustrating for all of us here. We see a solution. We see kind of we don't have every answer, but we see some solutions and have no power to influence the direction it can go, right?
I mean, heck, it's not even about is it a solution or not. It's, damn, we don't want to just sit here twiddling our thumbs doing the same thing we did before. We're willing and open to taking some of those risks, taking some chances, and trying something different, even knowing there's a chance it could fail.
Yeah.
You know, heck, even in a way knowing it's very likely to fail, because remember, only 1 out of 32 teams makes it all the way to the end. So,
but you know what you need?
You gotta fucking try though. Like the trying part is almost worse.
Getting the players, but not having the coaching or having the coaches, fail you or be whatever, held on to, controlled by the Joneses, is another problem. It's gonna not help you win anything. I mean, it hasn't worked since Jerry Jones took over.
Yeah.
So the thing is this. The other background thing, baby, that's happening is we're wasting players' talents. You go back to guys like Dez and Romo.
Yeah, coaches might get another chance, and they might be relatively the same, but players,
their time runs out. Yeah. Witten, Dez Bryant, Romo, right? We talk about these guys all the time, and they had their chances to get Super Bowl rings and never got them with the Cowboys, right? And went somewhere else and got it with Denver. So my point is, we're wasting players' talents in this purgatory of Stephen Jones and his non-aggressive player acquisition. The biggest aggression was the Amari Cooper trade. That's the biggest deal he's ever made.
And like I said,
in his entire decade of control.
It came back to bite us in the ass because it didn't quite work the way we wanted it to, the way we were expecting it to.
And what happened?
Now the Joneses have basically, forsworn any type of move like that ever again. And obviously we're just exaggerating a bit.
It's so silly, though.
Comments along these lines basically saying something similar.
But the fact that Amari Cooper was given 3 targets in his last year there with the Cowboys and then traded away for a 5th-round pick shows the mismanagement. Again, it seems to me from the front office, particularly from Stephen Jones, superseding Jerry Jones. So to me, Stephen Jones, the fact that I'm not saying that this happened. I'm saying that for some reason our targets were evenly thrown out there when Amari Cooper was getting phased out of our offense. It just seemed very strange. But I'm not going to say conspiracies. But my point is that could a front office had been in those meetings on Mondays and say, listen, we want to make sure we spread out the targets, and they keep saying that over and over and over again when Kellen Moore is going to say, all right, well, that means we get 3 targets to Amari Cooper a game. Their number 1 guy at the time. So my point is, phasing him out and then trading him away for a 5th-round pick, would you say that's a mismanagement of a player who right now just had a fucking great season in Cleveland with a 4th-string quarterback or whatever string they were on there? My point is, Stephen Jones is mismanaging this team. You get a guy here, give a 1st-round pick, he has some promise, we build on that, change a little bit of the culture around here, try to hey, let's buck the system on the coaching side of things and stop, Dak, wake up on some of these routes. Don't just, be blocked into what the coaches are telling you. And he's the guy that's sacrificed and then traded away for nothing. So, again, wasting players' talents, non-aggressive player acquisitions is part of the issue. If the Cowboys want to get that 6th ring, and Mike McCarthy wants us to buy into this team, then Stephen Jones, and I'm going to throw in there Jerry too, of course, Jerry Jones as well, both these guys have to put the money where their money where their mouth is. If they want us to buy in, then they have to buy in and get some fucking players on this team. Not just the same guys with the same lame duck excuses, is all I'm saying. Grow a pair of nuts and go out there and make a couple of good moves that your coaches would do, that your Will McClay is advising you to do, and spend a little bit more money. If again, that goes from Stephen Jones pushing this and Jerry Jones signing the fucking check. That's all. Now look, I'm going to let you hit on a couple on this from the chat. I want to know what the chat has to say. I'll be right back. I'll be back in a second. I'm listening, but I'll be right back. Just hit up the chat, and then we'll wrap it up here tonight, babe.
And, of course, as we do that as well and wrap things up, take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily, and hop the Discord links down below. But Asmodeus is saying it's looking like the NFL is designed to, quote-unquote, spread the wealth. None of the big money-making teams, the Cowboys, Patriots, Giants, or Falcons, did shit in the playoffs. Now, even I have to admit, I don't think it's necessarily an NFL conspiracy that's somehow keeping all of these teams down, right? When it comes to the Cowboys, we did that to ourselves. When it comes to the Patriots, honestly, that entire offense just looked like it didn't know what it was doing out there for the most part. We know there's a reason Belichick was eager and ready to move on from the organization, and a big part of that supposedly is that he just was not happy with the direction they were going with when it came to this team. So the Giants have been mismanaged for so long. I still don't know how it is that they managed to stumble nearly ass backwards into more playoff wins and Super Bowl wins in the last 20 years than we have. But hey, we're not here to talk about Eli. And the Falcons, too. Let's be real. The closest the Falcons were even relevant to this discussion was with Dan Quinn's 28-3. And that's, a little while ago already. So some decent amount of time has passed. Bruce got the toxic juice saying, I'm too broke to buy into bullshit with this team. Oh, that cracks me up. By the way, C. Bass in the house. What's up? Much love to the man saying, I hope Jerry watches what Jim Harbaugh does with that Chargers organization. Even if he does, he'll probably just say something like, oh, nice job, good job, great job. And then just keep it moving. The unfortunate problem is that he is so heavily involved in our offensive stuff when he really maybe should leave that to the professionals, right? So, let me see here. Quay said, can you just give me one thing to look forward to next season? I mean, there are still a few things to look forward to. But let's be real. Right now, we're still just trying to figure out how do we prevent what happened this year from happening again. So we do have some things to maybe look forward to next year and then beyond that, right? So... Yeah, Leon Beard saying, Bill Belichick can't stand Mac Jones. Remember, he had him wearing number 50. So, yeah, like I said, Belichick is just not in the mood for the Mac Jones situation that was happening there in Patriots land. So, Let me see. And thank you, Asmodeus. Kind of rolling back a little bit here more. Mike Adana said, I'm curious if anyone on 105 Through the Fan, has the balls to Jerry Jones, who's really making the decisions of running the day-to-day operations. So, on one hand, no one at 105 Through the Fan is directly paid in any way, shape, or form by Jerry, right? Like, it's just a mutually beneficial relationship.
Brodus used to be with DallasCowboys.com, so that's when I kind of went at Brodus and said, hey, listen, you're just covering up for Jerry, but, here's a situation where he knows a little bit more than maybe most of us know being inside that building. Stephen Jones is running the show, it seems like. When it comes to not the day-to-day operations and with the media hellos and highs, it's about the contracts, relationships with the players, and building the team. That's Stephen Jones. He's running that show, and that's the main core of the GMing right now. The main core of the scouting and the play and the scouting and the draft. That GMing portion is being done by Will McClay under the constraints of Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones is running the rest. Again, Jerry Jones is running the part of the show where he's saying hi to the cameras and he's getting followed around by Netflix. That's what he's supposed to do. I have no problem with that. But he's running that side of the GMing side of things, which shouldn't even be a fucking side of GMing. That could be the ownership side. The main 2/3 of things are being run by Stephen Jones. At least what Brian Brodus is saying, and I do not disagree. So again, I don't know what I missed a little bit. What did most of the chat say about this?
I kind of had gone over Asmodeus' comment where he's basically just saying that the NFL is kind of designed to spread the wealth because none of the big money teams, played well this year.
Yeah.
Cowboys, Patriots, Giants, and Falcons. I just kind of went over all the reasons why that is outside. The NFL maybe might be pulling strings, but even they can't pull everyone. And these teams straight up had their own issues and problems and mismanagement.
I agree, but it's not. I don't think it's anything that the NFL wants to do.
No, that's why I said I don't think it's even a deliberate NFL thing. Like, it's literally just almost every single one of these comes down to the team fucked up.
Bad management.
Yeah.
Cowboys included, one of the worst when it comes to this clown show of Jerry and Stephen Jones. That's why we put up those guys. That's why, and again, people think, we're making fun. That's why you have the emojis. If you got them, if you're in the membership, drop them. Because you'll see the fact that, the clowns, McCarthy's now part of that show. He has to be now. But it's the clown show has always been and will always be the two owners, the owner and his son. Boom, right there. Plain and simple. Clown show. Other comments in the chat, baby? I don't know if you had any other comments. I hope you had another comments.
Yeah, well, I did.
Okay, cool. Let's.
Seabass also throwing out there, they don't want 6. Leon Beard saying, Andy Reid failed enough in the playoffs. He learned that the key is having a great quarterback play with great run game. And, to be fair, we have seen the ability for Dak to play at that level. Has he done it in the postseason on a consistent basis? No. But is it possible for him to do so in general? Yes. So I also believe that that's another big motivating factor for the Cowboys. Dak had, obviously, hands down, his best season, regular season to date. And they're hoping to replicate some of those results while trying to hopefully figure out what happened so they can translate it to some post-season success and start winning some playoff games here. So, as far as our cap right now, are we technically over the?
Yeah, we're $20 million over the cap right now. Well, I say right now, I mean the next in the following season, this is 2024. The cap I think is expected to be at about 200. Again, don't mark me. It's not set yet or announced, but it's going to be around $240 million. Is the cap.
Okay.
I think this year was like 220. So it's up to 240 next year. And the Cowboys are like 261 total contract owed right now. At 261.
Okay.
So we're like $21 million over the cap. About $21 million over the cap is where we're at right now. But like I said, Trayvon Diggs restructure and Zach Martin restructure is going to give us $20 million. That puts us back to zero. Now we're breaking even. And then, if, like I said earlier, if you make a couple cuts here and there, it's a couple million here and there. You got, again, like I said, the LVE Cooper Rush cut. That'll give you $5 million combined. And then you can make the big cuts, like the Michael Gallup cut, June 1st, post June 1st. That there is a $9.5 million savings. You get, you get CeeDee Lamb on his extension. And right there, you go from $18 million hard cap hit to a fluctuation. You could probably get down to $6 or $8 million only this year. You're saving $10, $12 million on top of that. So now you went from zero and you're dropping this to like $30 million less. When you throw in a couple of these guys, you can still sign Micah long term or to an extension and not pay any extra money this year because that hit would stay the same. You lower CeeDee Lamb's. And again, don't even get me started if we extend Dak Prescott. First of all, if we just restructured Dak Prescott, we're saving like $35 million. But if you extend him, you could probably save $40 million this year. And you can go all in on that shit. I'm not saying you go crazy, but you get a cut. You can splurge a little here, the Joneses, and that's they'll say, well, we just spent $30 million a year on CeeDee Lamb with his extension. We just spent $35 on Micah Parsons. We just spent $55 or $60 on Dak Prescott, and those numbers are going to make it look like they've taken up 80% of the fucking cap. And the reality this season, there's a lot of they're actually making more room on the cap if the Cowboys go this way. So it's been an every season thing, though. We've talked about this every single year here on this channel for 6.5 years, and they still do the same shit every year. That's why we have these clown show pictures. It's on the fucking front office, and Jerry writes the checks and dances around in the circus. But Jerry Jones is doing the like Brian Broder said, the dirty work, which unfortunately is dirtying up the star the most. That's what's hurting the most right now.
So I did want to read this comment here. Shout out to LT. Saying MCF, it's amazing how fast we morphed back into the NFC East again. I know, that's crazy. What a mess. I'm glad that the Jalen stories were false. But still, the poor play for us after being 10-1 was wild.
Yeah.
Thumbs down on the division.
Yeah, on the division, on the season, depressing for both teams.
Different ways. We did it in different ways, but we basically did the exact same thing as the Eagles, right? We're a team that was on the up and up, trending upward. Had every reason to beat the team in front of them, and yet we still didn't.
Well, LT said, if Brodus, he said that Jerry handed things to his son. Shouldn't the clown photo just be of his son? Well, who handed it to his son? That means you don't want change. Jerry's like, I don't want change to what I've been doing, and who do I trust most to keep that non-change going? Stephen Jones. It's a father-son clown show. And we've had this up for years. You know this, LT. So, Tyrone Church said we can free up $70 million. I literally said that earlier tonight. $70 million is we can get it, open up $50, $60, $70 million. Yeah, you pay your rookies, that's 10, and you pay a couple of your own guys another 15 or 20. And then what are you going to do with the other $30, $40 million? We're going to roll it over the next year for what? No, you use it this year. You roll the dice, and let's go win a Super Bowl and hope for the best. Give McCarthy, if Quinn's here, give everybody the best they can get, and I think our best shot at once. What else can we do? That's the best way of trying to get us a sixth. Well, we should have done this. We could have done this a couple of times already. The last couple of years we could have went these routes, and the Cowboys didn't do it. We had the money to roll it. We had money. We had $20 million sitting there when we started the season. The Cowboys just want enough, and they use the excuse of, the pie. That pie is a lie.
And then there we go. A great example of how the pie is a lie there. So,
show my Brandon James over there saying it.
Tyrone Church is even saying it. The money's not a problem. Stephen Jones can buy because everyone in free agency is mid or old. So basically he's saying that, even by Cowboy standards, like a lot of the guys available, fit some of the bills.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're old.
Well, again, I think
mid.
I think he's talking about our own guys, our own free agents. Most of these guys are either not that good or they're old, so they'll be finding a way to keep a lot of these guys if they want.
Okay, so I guess I misunderstood that, but I still feel like either way, whether you talk about our own free agents or even outside free agents, I think that comment still applies. But yes,
it depends which free agents. But yeah, I just don't see,
Seabass saying it. The Jones family would rather lose their way rather than win someone else's way. Hence the name.
Yep.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yep, exactly. That's what they've been doing since they've let him go. And Jerry Jones, he got that Super Bowl with Switzer 2 years after let Jimmy Johnson go. So he kind of like he feel at the time I'm sure he felt vindicated. But as years and years went on and everyone's seeing like, okay, this was the Jimmy Johnson effect. That's why Switzer snuck one in there. That's why we got past it. Other than Deion Sanders being free agented over to the Cowboys, and there was a cap at the time. that was the big Jerry Jones move in his career right now. The best move he ever made was getting Deion Sanders here in a year that we took away the Niners' best player and put him on the Cowboys. That's the best move he made as a GM. Outside of that, he's been disastrous. Disastrous. The good moves he's made is hire a guy like Will McClay, which then let us be 100% reliant on the draft. And if McClay has a bad year drafting, whatever the reason, whether it's him or the decisions made from the coaches or the front office, we suffer all the way down the line here because we don't have other way. We don't use free agency. We don't trade, except for last year, which is the best we can say. Is last year was one of our best off seasons because we went out there and got traded 2 5th-round picks to get one of them to get Brandon Cooks, the other one to get Stephon Gilmore. At least it was an attempt there, which is something that deviates from the way they've done things in the past.
Yeah,
that's 1 year out of 28. The other years when it was the 2000s and 2006 in that range, it was Jerry Jones wheeling and dealing some crazy ass, dumbass fucking trades. Two first-rounders for Galloway, 2 first-rounders for receiver from the Lions, Roy Williams. What a disaster that was. So, anyways, I can sit here for days and days and days and talk about this, but we got no more time. Time's up on the clock, so let's do some shout-outs, baby, and finish it up.
And as I do the final shout-outs here, guys, make sure to take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and hop in the Discord. Link for that's in the description box down below. And of course,
I was going to say, I want to also extra special thanks to the 2 people that dropped the love from above today here. Skeptical fan with a thanks drop.
Oh, thank you, Skeptical.
Thank you. And Jason Renfro with $1.52.
Thank you, Jason.
In the house. Now, yes, baby, you can speak. Who are leading the boards right now?
Well, we have, of course, Mark Hovsepian as your stream boss, and if you look up above, he's also, if you look down below, he's also your sponsor of the week as well.
He had 15 in a row as the all-time record. Much love to the man, Mark Hovsepian, who also has the current overall lead in first place, trying to go back-to-back like our 90s Cowboys as a sponsor of the week. So he's coming strong on those sides of things. And then you got our weekly gifting champion when it comes to gifting memberships, JD from DC. Much love to JD. I think he gifted 5 last week. He's in the lead, trying to go back to back like our 90s Cowboys. JD from DC is in the lead this week with already 10 gifted memberships, which, by the way, also Jason Renfro gifted a membership as well yesterday. But Jason Renfro is the king of the Cash App. Much love to him, as wearing that crown very proudly. And a lot of other people dropped some love in the Cash App, so far this week. But the leader, star level. Another star, Jason Renfro star level. Marissa Sparkle, also star level member. Much love to Marissa in the lead on that side of things, jumping over everybody else who had represented on that board, like Gloria and McLovin and Jason Renfro. So thank you all, Marissa in the lead on that side of things. Now, that should wrap it up on that side. Why don't you do the shout-outs, baby, real quick, and we'll call it a night here in MCF.
Of course. We have Mike Aldana, Asmodeus, much love, LT in the house, Ori, hello and hi, C. Bass, have a great night, Brandon James, take it easy, Tyrone Church, much love, thanks for rolling through here. We have Leon Beard, have a great night yourself. Bruce got the toxic juice, you already know. We have Quay. Take it easy.
Hey, Quay.
Right? Let me see. Chris Davis. Much love. Asmodeus in the house. Mike Aldana, hello and hi. We have, just trying to go back here. Demetrius Alexander. Take it easy. Let's see. Even you, Lee Side. Even you. So, True Love, The Dawn. Chris Davis.
Chris.
Let me see. Mike Aldana. Fuego. Yeah, it's as far back as I can go, at least on my side. So, again, huge shout out to every single person here chilling, hanging with us. But, baby, why do we do what we do?
Here, on My Cowboys Family, on the nightly, it's about that navy blue. That silver, too, and that star over everything. Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly. Here at MCF, you can see it on the white shirt. Here at MCF, we always rep that star over everything. And, of course, for 6.5+ years on YouTube here on My Cowboys Family. Never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, go Cowboys! Let's get that 6 and beyond. Thank you all for dropping in here, dropping your knowledge in the chat all night long. Cannot do this without your input on our team. Also, cannot do it with your guys' drops of love from above. Even if it's trickles tonight, we still appreciate you all, as always, bringing it here. Best fan base of all YouTube. As we drop out and clock out officially for the night, relock and reload tomorrow for another one here. I think we're back tomorrow for another one. I know Friday will be unfortunately we had to miss Friday, but we will be here all around those other days. We should be here every day other than Friday this week. So again, news info updates coming at you again. But baby, before we can drop out and clock out for the night, relock and reload for tomorrow. What do we got to do here on My Cowboys Family tonight before we drop out officially for the evening?
We got to drop the beat.
Oh, yeah. That beat's officially dropped. Thank you all for rocking in here with us and giving us your opinions on our Cowboys, whether you're a Cowboy fan or a fan of another team, right? LT repping the Eagles here with us. Appreciate you all, guys, as we wrap it up here. Another MCF Cowboys chat. And again, there's a lot of faces here, old faces, talking about our situation in Dallas, whether it is Troy Aikman and his 2 cents on our team, believing in Dak, and kind of just think Jerry Jones is the owner. And of course, the whole Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones kind of passing of the torch, you can say. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, guys. Stephen Jones could be taking his team into even a worse direction. Who knows? Either way, no matter what, unfortunately, good, bad, or ugly, guys, we say it. Here in MCF, it's always about that navy blue. That's silver, too, and that's star over everything. Never forget the number one thing right here, My Cowboys Family. Much love to everyone in the house. Appreciate you all. Don't forget to hit the like for the stream, subscribe to the channel, keep it growing. Of course, hit your notification bell to all videos and follow us on all social media, Twitter, X, at My Cowboys Family. See you on Discord as well, guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another one. Stay safe. Have a good rest of your night. Watching us in a replay, rest of your day. Comment down below. Peace, and never ever forget, go Cowboys!
On the beat.